they're a minority, but they were born here, they may have a better chance, but it's not always 100%. Depends who owns the company, and I mean, they can probably go all the way to the second level, but not actually the CEO. But they may be better than the CEO, but they'll grab their ideas and take credit for it.
I wasn't trying to say America doesn't have that problem. You're right. Minorities do have a problem moving up in the company. And I think women do too. They have trouble getting up to the top. So, yeah.
Women always had trouble. They've always been the second-class citizen, and it doesn't seem like it. I mean, it's gotten better. You know, we do have more opportunities than our ancestors have. And I guess it might grow as time goes on. I mean, our kids may see changes just like we've seen changes. Just like my kids, when Obama became president, they would never think that a minority would be president. So that was something in history. When they thought about it, they said, this is part of history, and we're alive in this part of history. So now those will be in the history books here. But I don't know if he'll win again. So we have any more questions regarding this? I mean, back to the point where do you think we all are familiar with how Ernest may have felt? He might have had mixed feelings, or he might have felt good, he might have felt embarrassed. Have any of you has anybody here come across that before? When your instructor handed you your paper, or maybe said, oh, well, Jacob got the highest grade, or I think here in the States they don't usually do that because it's kind of confidential.
I think they're doing it less.
Yeah, they're doing it less, so I haven't come across where instructors have said, oh, Jacob got an A, he got the highest score, or so-and-so got the worst score, but they won't say. They don't ridicule people that way. Because in schools, they try to bring your self-esteem up majority of the time. My experience.
I think as a minority, it's probably confusing as when it's a genuine compliment and when it's a backhanded compliment. I mean, I remember one time in high school, I had a teacher I was in the orchestra, and this teacher had left, but then come back to see one of our concerts, and I got into some special orchestra that year. I tried out, auditioned, and got in, and I said hi to him, and he said something like, oh, I noticed you got into that orchestra. Oh, congratulations, you must have really improved. And it was obviously a backhanded comment, the way he said it. The way he said, oh, congratulations, you must have really improved, meant you weren't very good when I taught you, you know, something must have happened where you got better. And so, to me, it was obvious it was a backhanded compliment, but as a minority, when you're kind of being prejudiced against fairly often, when do you know when it's a backhanded compliment and when it's not? So I can understand why he would be confused, even if the professor were genuine, yeah.
Yeah, he would feel that, oh, is he making fun of me? Is he saying that I couldn't do it? Or is he saying this because he's proud of me?
Right.
So there are mixed feelings. In your country, do professors usually announce the grade like that or applaud the student?
In my country, in the high school, but in university,
No.
No.
The high school they do?
yeah.
Yeah.
In my country, high school is in compulsory school. So, like in my junior high year, my teacher just announced the score, each student's score.
Oh.
Yeah, in front of everyone. So if I get a bad score, everyone knows that.
Oh.
So after I get bad score, I feel so embarrassed. So next time I will study harder because I don't want everyone knows my score.
Oh.
So it's a strategy to encourage students to.
So he won't be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Force students to study hard.
No, that's another way too, huh? But
A new teaching strategy, huh?
but you're trying to have the child or the student build up their self-esteem and not feel embarrassed, because you don't want them feeling embarrassed. But some of them just give up. They give up, like, oh wow, I don't care. You already said I had a bad grade, so I'm not going to bother with it. Some of them do that.
Sometimes a teacher wants students to wants motivate students to study harder compared to their peer groups. So, yeah, in Korea we have the same situation. Sometimes the teachers announce the superior group, like a superior person. So we have the same like Taiwan.
But I don't know, in like my high school, the teacher always treats good student well. If I had a bad score, the teacher just ignored me. So I don't want my teacher to ignore me, so I will study hard to get teachers' attention.
Wow.
Yeah, teachers.
In my country, high school, the teachers used to post the students' grade on the wall for all the semester.
Wow.
So, as she said, to encourage them to get higher.
That's cool. As a teacher, Jacob, have you ever done anything like that, or what do you usually do?
In Taiwan, it's a part of the Taiwanese culture, I guess, to kind of pass out. I would never really announce grades. No, I guess I would at times. Yeah, sometimes I have. And yeah, was it wrong or right? Yeah, I can't think of any instance. No, I can think of one where I announced once that a girl got into the best senior high school in Taiwan, and high school in Taiwan is a very big deal. Like if you get into like a really good high school, it's a big deal. It seems even bigger than if you get into a good university. And she got into the best girls' high school, and so. Like I was really proud of her because she worked really hard. It wasn't just like she was smart and gifted and just good at tests. She was really hardworking. So I like bought her a little gift and I announced it to the class that she won it, and I gave it to her, and she just had this complete frightened look on her face, and I felt really bad afterwards. And I think she was just shy. Later, like when I left, they kind of all wrote notes to me, and she seemed like appreciative of everything. So I think in the end she was just shy. But yeah, after that made me have second thoughts for sure of what you should announce and what you shouldn't. Yeah, because I had the best of intentions and wasn't a good idea in the end.
Well, here it's kind of hard for teachers to give students gifts, because they may think you're favoring a student, or with the news of things going on in the schools today, they might think that you're making some type of, you're attracted to the student in the wrong way. So here in the U.S. it's a little harder to do that. I know sometimes teachers in elementaries, they'll have like a little treasure box, and they'll give the child, well, you got a high score, you get to pick a toy out of the treasure box, or you get an extra 5 minutes of recess, so they award them in different ways. Because in that way it would be inappropriate. I mean, years ago maybe it would have been okay, but today, no.
So that's not common in America.
No.
Oh,
I mean, it's inappropriate.
no problem.
I mean, some families may feel it's inappropriate unless they know the teacher. Like I know my son's teacher, I wouldn't feel it's inappropriate.
In Taiwan, grading is very important for parents. They will regard grades as like kind of thing to show off. For example, their children always get 100 points, and they might talk to the neighbors, and yeah, my son get a good job. Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of him. And then, but unfortunately, the next neighbor, maybe his or her child doesn't get good grade, maybe I think in a opposite way.
So they'll be jealous
Yeah,
or upset.
maybe. Yeah, have.
We have parents here that brag.
Normal.
Yeah, we have parents here that would brag too about their children. I think that's normal for parents to do. But I think, yeah, Taiwanese, yeah, I think you're right that they would brag.
Is it normal in America?
To brag about your children?
No, I think like a professor. Oh, these students get A. Oh, I always treat him or her as like my children.
Well, sometimes, like in elementary, because I have a son that's 9, the teachers will treat him, if, I don't know, it depends if they have kids of their own or maybe they have siblings, they kind of treat them in a motherly way. They understand some kids might be whining one day. Well, everybody has a bad day. It just depends on the instructor, and she knows the different personalities of the children.
What you're saying is it's normal to treat the better students better than you treat the other students?
I think we should be equal to treat students, not just the student gets good grade, we should treat or give prize, something like that. We should maybe, as she said at the beginning, Wilson said at the beginning of this program, like praise the student as an example. But if the student doesn't get good grades or doesn't have a good job, and we should do more encouragement these kind of students.
So when I was talking about the treasure box, see, the treasure box that they use in my son's classes, they have a reading goal. If they meet their goal, they get a toy. Every kid has to meet their goals. Some will meet it faster than others, which is okay, but at least you met your goal because that's part of their reading levels. So it's not ridiculing anybody that's faster or slower. Everybody's going to reach the goal.
So it's a kind of a motivation.
It's motivation.
And it also is very interesting that American, I see the education, they always encourage students in a positive way, not negative way. Oh, you didn't write your homework, you didn't hand in, or you didn't have a good presentation. But in my country, if the students, I think it depends on like kind of elementary school students or high school students. If we don't have a good grades or have a good like something like that, maybe the teachers maybe punish you. Like quiz, if we don't like for example like in history, if you don't get good grades, the level should be set to 80. If you don't get more than 80, maybe the teacher will use like bets to punish.
Use bets to punish?
Maybe
In my parents' generation, if my parents didn't get good grades, so the teacher will punish them.
Like get a stick and hit their
Yes,
hand. Right?
stick, yeah.
Right.
My wife too.
Physically?
Physically, yeah. So if the student didn't reach teacher's expectation, so teacher can punish.
So you guys didn't have to deal with that?
No.
Oh, you're lucky. My wife had that too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
get a
it-
98, they'll hit your hand twice because that's 2 below 100.
Wow.
Yeah. But now the teachers cannot punish students. Student can sue if teacher.
Education policy.
Yeah, teacher is so powerful.
Well, here too, in like in the 50s or maybe, or the 40s, they used to get a paddle and swat their hand. And in the Catholic school, they used to swat with the paddle.
I remember when I was in like 2nd grade, like first grade, someone who was really naughty or something got brought in and the principal swatted him in front of the class with a paddle.
Wow.
Yeah. I still remember that. It was, unbelievable.
Well, because now that's considered child abuse. Even
Yeah.
the parents not allowed
Yeah,
to spank
right.
their child.
And now there's only one child in the family, so parents very take care of the child.
Mm.
Like in my parents'